what is this? Rotary Club of Park Cities, our 19th meeting of the year. Do we have any new members here that have joined in the last 6 months? Please stand so we could see who you are, and those of you who don't know them, during the meet and greet, take a moment to say hello and introduce yourself. So take a few minutes and meet and greet with the folks, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here today. Blast from the past. Don't get too used to it. Hey, this is the easy part. It's stuff during the weekend.
Okay, so that I just changed that because she said she wasn't going to be here and then she was. So I'd like the new members to do it more than
Okay.
Board
You know what
members.
else I'm going to throw in here? Since
Oh yeah, good idea. Jeff, everything is so behind schedule. I mean, he didn't even have anybody to organize the holiday party. You got the email from Tom Rhodes. Tom didn't even know he was having that.
he came up to me last week and said, "What am I supposed to do?" I'm like, "What's like next week?" I mean, I said,
I've never experienced anything like this. It was the most hands-off. I mean, I don't think I don't know. But anyway, thank God, Happy and
"Hey,
Mary
the good
stepped
news
up.
is almost halfway through, and the second half is a lot easier than the first half because I did talk to Fred Brown the other day. We had a foundation meeting.
Yeah, I saw that.
So our dentistry with the heart, it's been delayed because of some issues over at the Agape. I said, it would be nice if it was done around Valentine's Day again, because that is a really slow time for us. I said, last year it got jammed in, and it's so much longer. The week after this, we have Legacy Leadership on Monday, we have Scottish Rite Popcorn on Wednesday, we have PCR Connect on Thursday, and Sonic Tree on Sunday.
That's amazing that it all just kind of came together.
The Legacy Leadership, they should have been, and they received an email.
Sonic Plaza is not as much.
Yeah, I understand, but
But that's not next week.
no, week after next. I'm saying it's the week
you're talking
after
about
next.
The week after next.
We
all
have
those things.
all of those things.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm like, so send an email on Legacy Leadership. Well, it's like the holiday party. When Tom asked the question, I looked on the calendar and it's not there. I don't know. And then I saw it this week when I was.
Well, I've been putting it on the calendar.
Well, but so he has to notify Pam Lincoln. Put that on there. I mean, it's like, that's who I went to for the Scottish Rite. I'm like, okay, we set this up. I don't know how. I just reached out to her and she set it up for me. And I sent out the email.
She's probably already reached me out. And I'll remind her that she knows so many things. And he reached out to her. And Mary.
I told her that's who he's done in the past. I said, that's what you need to do.
Well, I'm going to remind her. Okay.
I think everybody's here. Okay. Thanks for your support.
I just waited. We're good. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. If everybody would please return to their seats. Oh, you know what? We forgot. If everybody please return to their seats. Eric HEITKAMP is going to lead us in pledge, national anthem. Right, Eric? Past President Eric HEITKAMP to the stage, please.
Appreciate it, Past President Jeff. So do we have any concerns today? I will mention a couple right off the bat. If anybody else has one, raise their hand. Ruth Olilali had surgery on Monday and would like for her to keep her in our prayers. Also, Elaine is having surgery on December 6th, Elaine Allen. So please keep those ladies in your prayers. Does anybody have any updates on Ruth? I've been traveling this week, but okay. Well, if everybody would bow their heads, and this is in the interest of Thanksgiving. We thank you, God, our Father, for the shelter of comfort of our homes, for the love and companionship of our family and friends, for our health and our many gifts and abilities, and for all the blessings which we take for granted. Hear our prayer for all who are less fortunate than we are, and bless those who work to help them. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our national anthem.
All right, it's that time to share things we might be happy about. Anybody got any happy news they want to share?
Happy Bucks.
Don't all jump up at once.
All right, Jeff, you take it. Somebody got to take
Somebody's got to have something to be happy about. Hey, I'm not baking a turkey next week, nor am I traveling. So we have a relative who invited us to go have lunch at the Park Cities Club for Thanksgiving. So we're going to be doing that. No dishes to wash either.
I love it. Yeah. That's nice. That's happy. I'll be right there. Anybody over here? Thank you, Jeff. Got a couple over here. Coming at you, Sean.
This seems like old news, but it's worth repeating, and that's that the Texas Rangers won the World Series.
Eric?
I have been in central Massachusetts all week. It gets dark at 4:15, so I am thankful to be back.
We're thankful to have you back.
Happy. Hey, Scott. Oh, I'm sorry. Kathy, go ahead.
Thank you. This is a little self-serving. I'm going in to have surgery on my right ankle on December 1st, and I'm going to be in a cast, unable to drive for 6 to 10 weeks.
Ouch.
Anybody who'd like to call and say howdy or drop by, please do it. I'd love your company. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Wish you the best with your surgery.
Right behind you, Scott.
Happy. I missed you first time. The one that started it all.
I'm so happy that my dad, my brother, and his girlfriend are going to be here for Thanksgiving. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Is that it?
All right, it's that time to introduce any guests. If you're a guest, please stand and be introduced.
Any guests? Sergio?
Thank you so much. Hi, I would like to welcome Professor Simon Mack and two students from SMU right here that it's going to be the speaker, and two welcome guests to visit our club. Thank you.
Please. And I'd like to welcome a special guest that we have today visiting from Colombia. This is RUBEN OCAMPO. You're going to hear from him just a little bit later, and he'll have an opportunity to exchange flags with past President Jeff and his daughter Adriana, who I met here locally. And RUBEN is traveling this week, coming into town for the holidays, so we're lucky to have him all the way from Colombia today. So please welcome. Right.
Anybody else? I think that's it.
Seeing nobody else. Next up, past President Pam CARVEY, to be followed by past President Happy Franklin with a couple of announcements.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just here to remind any of the alumni of Legacy of Leadership, we are having a party Monday, November 27th. It's limited to the first 40 people. We have only 20 openings left, and you can bring a guest if you are in this year's class or you're an alumni of the leadership. We would love to have you. We are going to be in the room above Bistro 31. It is a beautiful party room, and it only holds around 40 people, so we're limited. Do go online and make a reservation. You should have gotten an email today from me and possibly one from Happy. So that's where your link is. Go in, pay, and it's $25 a person. You can bring a guest, and it is subsidized greatly. So come. Drinks are included. Appetizers are included. Where else can you get that for $25? Come.
Hi there, happy Friday. Save the date, Friday, December 15th. It's going to be our holiday party at Tom and Suzy Rhodes' home. They have a beautiful home if you haven't already been there. We'll have the registration rolled out by tomorrow. So it's going to be lots of fun. The food's going to be fabulous, and you won't want to miss it. Save the date. Thank you. Friday, December 15th. You got it.
Next up, Mark Casher, our treasurer for this week's Marketplace Advertiser.
Thank you, Jeff. Our Marketplace Advertiser today is Mark Neese, sitting over here with SyncLab Media, the Caddy Daddy, and 49ers fandom. Instead of highlighting his business today, Mark wants to utilize his time to make a very big announcement. I'm pleased to announce the Enterprising Gentleman Dallas Summit 24 to be held on February the 29th in Addison. This full-day men's conference is a hands-on, transformative experience with a mission to educate and equip men to excel in life and enterprise, resulting in lasting community impact. Participants will gain valuable insights from a dynamic leadership of industry expert speakers, enhance their entrepreneurial and personal development, cultivate unique branding strategies, and connect and network with like-minded business leaders. Does your business target professional men? What better opportunity could there be other than a room of 200 to 250 professional men, which should be your prime target market, at an event addressing their unique issues and interests? Don't miss this journey towards self-discovery, growth, and success. Ticket and sponsorship information is available at enterprisinggentleman.com, or you can talk to Mark Neese right over here about it. Let's thank Mark for his support of our club.
At this time, I'd like to invite Ruben up here to share the Rotary flag, and he's going to tell us a little bit about a project he's working on. Oh, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, distinguished members of the Rotary Club of Park Cities. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to your Public Relations Office, Mr. McNaughton, for helping coordinate and schedule my attendance today, and to Mr. Jeff McNaughton for your warm welcome. Sorry for saying what. My name is Ruben Ocampo, and I am here representing our Rotary Club of Barranquilla, Colombia, the second oldest Rotary Club in Colombia, South America, established 96 years ago. Currently, I have the privilege to serve as the board secretary. Our Rotary district is formed by 58 clubs and over 1,000 members. Barranquilla is located in the northern coast of Colombia on the Caribbean Sea, and it is the fourth largest city in the country. Today, the projects that our Rotary Club is working on are focused on 4 major areas: education and literacy, children's health, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and potable water. Our goal is to create partnership with other Rotary clubs through global grants to make these projects a reality. In the past, we had partnered with clubs in Missouri, Georgia, and Utah through global grants with great successful results. And we are currently partnering on a project with a club in Calgary, Canada. It would be an honor and a great pleasure for the Rotary Club of Barranquilla to establish a brotherhood with the Park Cities chapter. Should you express interest in any of our projects? On your tables, you will find a flyer with my personal contact information and a summary of the 3 main projects our chapter is currently working on. For those of you interested, I will leave a USB drive with a more detailed presentation and videos of these projects. And I'm going to stay here for some time today after the meeting. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Oh, you're supposed to take our flag. This is his flag. Thank you very much. Lots of announcements. You know, we have 2 really busy times of the year. We have the parade and everybody's hands-on. It's really busy. And then we have this little sprint, and we're getting ready to hit it. And we need all hands on deck and help. First thing we've got coming up next Monday is the Ronald McDonald House Serving Day, and there are still a few spots to sign up for that. The following week, of course, we got Happy Thanksgiving this coming week. That following week is really busy. Pam's already announced the Legacy of Leadership Alumni Social Gathering and current members. On Wednesday, we have the Scottish Rite Popcorn Packing Project, and I'm thankful we have 29 of 30 slots filled. We only have 1 more spot, so please sign up. Then we have PCR on Thursday, and then on that Sunday, we have the SNIDER Plaza tree lighting. We still have 20 slots left for signing up. This is a huge event for us. I think we've already got 25 signed up, but we need 25 more, so please sign up. Take a little stress off of Tanya. December the 1st, so we don't meet next week, as you know, because of Thanksgiving. The following week, that Friday, of course I should have slid that in if I was going to be organized. We have our normal chili day at Salvation Army, which is always a great meeting. That following week, we're going to meet at the Austin Street Shelter. There's going to be box lunches and a tour of the facility. For those of you who have done the foot care for the homeless, I did it last year. I wasn't able to make it this year, but you kind of go in, you do your thing, but you really didn't see the facility. Richard Stanford told me, he said, the facility is unbelievable, so it is worth taking the time to do the tour if you have that time for that Friday. December 16th, that following Saturday after the 15th, we're doing the holiday party. The 16th, we're doing the Salvation Army Distribution Center. And I found out yesterday, and I'm so sorry, Paul Pyrock, because I know this is one of your favorite events that we don't do anymore, but the Salvation Army Angel Tree, we're not doing that anymore. And people say, why? Well, during COVID, nobody was coming to the mall, so they quit doing that, and all of the Angel Tree purchases are now being done online. So the distribution center, if you've never been there, it's an amazing thing. I've done it several times. It is amazing how generous this community is and the number of packages. It was Wednesday, we had our board meeting, and Dawn McFarland, who's one of our newer members, she's with Salvation Army, and she showed up, and we were visiting with her, and she said she is blown away at how generous our community. She said there's us and the Atlanta community, and around the country, by far, the two most generous communities. And there are a lot of packages that need to be redistributed, and they need our help. So please sign up for that as well. 11 to 1:30. On December 16th, it is a Saturday. The last Saturday before my birthday. Oh, no, I guess there's one more. The 23rd would be the last Saturday before my birthday. So all gifts will be accepted. December 24th. Yep, Merry Christmas. There will be no meeting on Friday, December the 22nd or the 29th. We will reconvene on January 1. Lots of information. It is that time we would ask our speaker, Simon, to draw a raffle ticket. So for those who are new or don't know what we're doing, people buy raffle ticket, and we're up to 334. If your number is drawn, you will, where's the deck of cards? You got my deck of cards? Okay. You'll draw from the deck of cards. If you get the ace of spades, you'll get half the pot. The other half will go to our foundation. And if you don't get the ace of spades, you get to take home a souvenir. So, this week's winner. Got to check mine first. 2992. Come on, Kathy Wall. Big hand. Oh, no, no. You're good. Okay. All right. Bye, Kathy. I'm going to get it. King of Diamonds. Thanks, everybody, for contributing. It's always a lot of fun. And the money goes to a good cause. Thank you. All right, so next up, Sergio Pop is going to be our speaker, introduce our speaker of the day.
Good afternoon. Professor Dr. Simon Mack is the Linda and Kenneth Morris Endo Executive Director of the Caruth Institute of Entrepreneurship and Professor of Practice in the Department of Strategy, Entrepreneurship, and the Business Economics at the SMU Cox School of Business. He is the Founder Director, Blockchain Program Initiatives, Caruth Institute of Entrepreneurship. Dr. Mack oversees the undergraduate and graduate entrepreneurship programs at SMU Cox, as well as the Dallas 100 Entrepreneur Awards and the Southwest Venture Forum. His expertise is in teaching and researching emerging business models, including blockchain, sports, and space entrepreneurship, which will be his topic of today's luncheon. Dr. Mack received his Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from MIT, an MBA in Finance from SMU Cox School of Business, and a PhD in Applied Science Systems Engineering from SMU Lyle School of Engineering. Dr. Mack is a well-respected and dear friend to all of us, alumni and current students at the SMU community. With that said, today with us, Professor Dr. Simon Mack.
Sergio, thank you so much for that kind welcome. It's great to be back. Some things have happened worldwide since the last time I was here, right? And so things have changed, and some things have stayed the same, right, as they would say. But what we're going to do is we're going to do what I did last time, which is we're going to take a picture so I can post it on my Instagram, all right? All right, so This side, wave your hand, wave. All right. And then we'll go this side. Here we go, wave your hand, everybody. All right. Excellent, excellent. You know, I may put it on TikTok. No, I'm not going to do that. Let me get all set up here. So it's a delight for me to be back today. What we're going to do is I'm going to give you a short sort of an update since the last time we talked about space entrepreneurship. And then we have a special guest people who are going to speak after I come up. And I think they'll be much better than me. And you'll enjoy them much more. But what I want to do is I want to talk about space, the final frontier. So the first pop quiz is, where's that phrase from, the final frontier? Oh, who could name all the different Star Trek versions, right? Deep Space Nine, Next Generation, Voyager. Wow, yeah. So one summer, my wife and I went crazy, and we watched all of them, and it was a lot of fun. And what's funny is, you know, you watch the old Star Trek from 1969 and 1970. Did you know the original James T. Kirk and Spock was only two seasons, 1969, 1970, and look what's happened. And we have a lot of that stuff now, right? Isn't that kind of cool? And so that's kind of what I want to talk about. And so before I do that, I just want to do a quick introduction of what I do. And so I'm at something called the Caruth Institute for Entrepreneurship. And we were established in 1970, and so it's during the second season of Star Trek. And there's two of us. I wasn't around in 1970, but it was established back then, and we basically run the entrepreneurship program at the Cox School of Business. So in the Cox School of Business, the Caruth name is named after the Caruth family, right, as you're driving around, and so should be a very, very familiar name to you all. So we teach entrepreneurship courses to undergrads, graduate students, and our most recent degree is the online MBA. Can you believe that? We're teaching 100% online, and same price. Very, very, very interesting. And that is becoming one of our largest programs. So it's a fascinating dynamic. This new world that we're living in, right? Things are changing. The other exciting news at SMU is that we now just announced our third entrepreneurship center. So having two entrepreneurship centers is pretty cool already. Having three has never been done before. So I'm with the Caruth Institute for Entrepreneurship. Then we have the Hart Institute for Technology, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship. And Mr. and Mrs. Hart were one of the original founders with a dude named Perot with a little company called EDS. Remember that? And then finally, the most recent announcement was Mr. Spears, the Spears Institute for Entrepreneurial Leadership. And so we're going to have 3 entrepreneurship centers on campus, which has never been done before on the planet. So some cool stuff going on in entrepreneurship at the SMU School of Business. The other thing that we do is, again, we do a lot of community activities, and our biggest one is called the Dallas 100 Entrepreneur Awards. Anybody ever heard of that? Dallas 100? All right. All right. And so every year I get to meet the 100 fastest growing privately held companies and their CEOs. All right, so these are no longer startups. These are companies that are $30, $40 million, doubling sales every 2 to 3 years. And what was interesting is this year in the top 10, 4 were in healthcare staffing. Why do you think that is? Another pop quiz. COVID, it's called the COVID pop, right? Remember that? When COVID happened, businesses declined, but there were also businesses that took off. All these healthcare staffing businesses, remember that? They're trying to get doctors and nurses to all these different places. And so very, very fascinating, and that's a fun part of the Dallas 100. And you're all invited. It's open to the public, and you're all invited to come to that. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about the final frontier, all right? Quick, how many planets do we have? Which lost the planet status? Wow, you guys are on board. That's really good. So when we talk about space and the business of space, there's 2 approaches. The first approach is looking at monies that's gone into investing in space, right? So that's one approach. And then the other approach is the growth in revenues of that industry, right? Sort of the size of the market. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how much money is being invested in space types of businesses as of 2020. So the first slide is from CNBC. And they said that in 2020, even despite COVID, almost $9 billion were invested in space. That's kind of cool. Well, what sorts of stuff do they invest in? Well, they invest in companies, space companies, space-related companies and startups, but also they're investing in funds, and a specific type of fund is called an ETF, right? An exchange-traded fund. And so there are now ETFs that are focused on space. And one of the most famous ones is started by a woman named Cathie Woods. So Cathie Woods is a very famous investor. And she has come out and said, I want to invest in space, but there ain't enough space companies to be invested in. Isn't that interesting, right? And so we're really, really at an inflection point for space businesses, and everything is coming together. So here's, this next slide is from U.S. News, the 7 space stocks and ETFs to watch. Rocket Lab USA, Intuitive Machines, iShares, that's an ETF. Invesco, that's another ETF. SPDR, another ETF. So there's like, check this out. In the top 7 investments from U.S. News, only 2 are company, the rest are ETFs. Kind of interesting, right? Kind of interesting. Okay, an ETF is basically a special type of mutual fund that specifically focus in an industry or an area. And so we have ETFs that are focused on different industries. This particular ETF is just focused on space, okay? So that's about investing. So there's money being made, but there's more money than companies to be invested in. So that's the takeaway. Is that okay? Yeah. That's the first takeaway. Here's the second takeaway, and this is from Morgan Stanley. They said that by the year 2040, the global space industry will be worth $1 trillion. So that's looking at the space industry from the other side of the coin, not from the investment side, but from the market size, right? From the annual revenues that could be. So we're talking about $1 trillion by the year 2040. Well, heck, Simon, you've been talking all this time. What kind of businesses are in space? So let me talk about some of the businesses that are in space. All right, I know this is a little bit smaller, so I'm going to read them out. All right, this is an eye test. I keep forgetting because, at SMU, we're used to these ginormous screens, right, behind the podium, so I'm used to that. All right, the first one is, in terms of a space industry business, is finance. Did you know it costs a lot to do a space company, right? To build all these rockets and motors and all these kind of things. And so there's something called a space fund, and companies in that area whose job is to actually go finance all these space companies. Number 2, space adventure travel. Sometimes called space tourism, right? And so I'll talk a little bit more about some of the companies that are involved in space tourism. Then there's space media, and so nowadays there are now more publications. In the old days, if you wanted to learn about space, you had to read like defense industry news, right? You guys in the defense industry, I was in the defense industry. And so you have to read defense industry news. But nowadays there's actually media that's dedicated to space and what's going on in space. The next one should not come as a surprise, robotics. And do you guys know what they call those little robots that roll around on the moon? The rovers. Very good, right? And rovers. And so you need company to make those. Another phrase that is being created is called astro-robotics. Astro-robotics. Pretty cool. Then, of course, space company and our man down in Austin. What is his name? Elon Musk. All right, and his company, and I'm going to talk more about the different companies there. Here's another very, very interesting category of new businesses, spaceports, right? So all these things are flying up into space, and they need to be repaired. And so people are basically doing, you know, a Jiffy Lube. It's like a Jiffy Lube in space, and these satellites come to these Jiffy Lubes in space, and then they get them fixed, and they move on. Spaceports, pretty cool, right? Space training, all right? And so that's basically talking about training people to understand how to, you know, navigate space. So everything from virtual reality classes to the old NASA going to the big pool, right? And then you go underwater and stuff like that. Of course, there's government and our friends down in Houston, NASA, otherwise known as the Johnson Space Center, okay? And then, here we go, space military. Did you know we had a Space Force? Can anyone name one of the homes for our Space Force? Where are they located? Greenland. So we have one of our major deployments are in Greenland. And you'll have to Google why we have all these Space Force people on Greenland. It's a very interesting story. So Space Force is coming up, right? And that's kind of cool. Then you have, again, in terms of local media, consumer media, there are now like space radio shows and space podcasts. Jeff, you'd be great and talking and giving all the things you know about space, you know. And then the next is space simulation, all right? And so this is really more about for fun, right? You know, sort of like these bouncy houses. You've seen these bouncy houses, right? When the kids, kindergartners, and so they got space versions of that now. You boop, 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 you're bouncing around. And then there's Space Camp, and that's the Alabama, right? You got the famous space camps. I actually have 2 students in my class this semester. They went to space camp, and so I thought that was pretty cool because we're doing a space project this semester. Then there's something called biospheres. Did you know that if you go and live on Mars, for example, you just can't live in a house, in a building, all right? You need to live in something that's 100% captive in terms of its environmental. And right now it's generically called biospheres, but one of my entrepreneur predictions is that's ripe to be disrupted, right? Because biosphere technology hasn't changed in years. The design, the technology. So if I were a younger gentleman, I would pursue new biosphere designs and technologies because everybody's going to need one when they travel to space. And then space consulting. All right, does anybody need to be consulted on space? All right, it's coming up. And space accelerators. What space accelerators are, so in the world of entrepreneurship, we have what's called accelerators that accelerate, and the goal is to speed up how fast a startup can get to market. And so imagine trying to do that and you're a space entrepreneur, right? And so there are space accelerators that are being created. And then right in our backyard, probably our most famous space business / startup is located in Richardson, Texas, and it's called Back to Space. All right, Back to Space, co-founded by a guy by the name of Jim Keys, and I'll introduce Jim in a minute. But Jim was the former CEO of 7-Eleven, and I'll talk about Jim in a minute. So Back to Space is basically creating. Right now, they're doing space education. So they're going to be putting up pop-ups, and North Park Mall is going to be one of the first places to put a pop-up where kids can come in, and there's going to be like space stories. So the CEO is one of my former students, Gabriella Gerani, and her expertise is science fiction. And so she's going to write science fiction stories that will play itself out in this pop-up entertainment, 3D entertainment experience with VR glasses and stuff like that. So it's called Back to Space. Start looking for that at the North Park Mall. They might card you, but just tell Gabriella Simon sent you, and you'll be able to go in. All right. So that's Back to Space. All right. So, according to NASA, they're going to be in Mars in the year 2030. This was pre-COVID. I haven't heard the latest update. And one of the things that I wanted to show you here is that they've got the moon right in the middle. So one of the strategies for going to Mars is to make the moon the landing station. the truck stop. All right? And so basically, the goal is to make the moon the truck stop. Everybody goes there and unloads all their stuff and then builds the rocket from the moon and then shoot to Mars. Pretty cool, right? I mean, these are things that they're planning right now. So NASA is planning that, and they're planning to do something around 2030. Okay. And then our man, Elon Musk, says, NASA, you're going to go 2030. We're going to go 2024. Again, that's next year. But this was pre-COVID. So who are you going to believe, NASA or Elon? Who's going to get there first, Elon or NASA? What do you guys think? I mean, with all due respect to our friends down in Houston, right? I think it's fair to say Elon woke up NASA. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. So again, Elon has a very, very similar strategy, but he does not want the moon as the halfway house, the truck stop. He wants to go direct to Mars, all right? And then you guys saw the rockets, right, where it goes straight up and comes straight back down. So from a business model perspective, here's a startup, and they want to send people to Mars. Who's going to believe them? So he says, okay, before I start sending people to Mars, I got to create some legitimacy. So he says, well, I'm going to start delivering payload to the space station. All right? We call that an MVP. His minimum viable product is to show people he can bring payload up to the space station, right? But then there's already people bringing payload to the space station, specifically an organization called NASA. So you know what he did? Cut the price by half. Guess what happened to NASA's business? It's gone. You know NASA doesn't deliver payload to the space station anymore, all right? Because they can't compete with SpaceX and all the other businesses that are coming up now. So again, as a matter of fact, NASA now outsources to SpaceX, right, to ship their stuff up there. So again, you know, whether you like Elon or not, he is definitely rocking the boat. Okay, and then for this slide, I want to show you the 3 big companies that are involved in space, right? We just talked about SpaceX and Elon Musk. Then there's something called Blue Origin. Who's Blue Origin? Jeff Bezos, and if you don't know Jeff Bezos, it's the Amazon guy, all right? And then finally, Virgin Galactica, or Virgin Galactic. Who is that? Richard Branson. Wow, very good. All right, who's the Secretary of NASA? Nobody knows. What does that tell you, right? Okay, so space is the final frontier. Those were the leading companies. Guess where they are? They're in Texas. Texas dominates space, all right? You've got, we got to give NASA credit. They're down in Houston. But SpaceX is Austin and then also in Corpus Christi. So you can literally pull up to Corpus Christi, get your binoculars out, and see the manufacturing. Their rockets, it's all fenced in. But you can see it. People park there and take pictures and all that kind of stuff. And then Blue Origin is basically in West Texas. Remember James T. Kirk when he went into space? He was in West Texas doing that. All right? And then Virgin Galactica is just across the Texas border, right in New Mexico. So Texas dominates space, and Texas will lead the next generation of space entrepreneurs. Can I say it here? Can I get an amen? Hallelujah. All right. So speaking of space entrepreneurs, I am delighted to welcome two wonderful up-and-coming space entrepreneurs. And in my semester, this class, one of my projects is called Space Entrepreneurship, and my students were pitching a startup idea to travel and to live on Mars. So we are assuming that it's the year 2055, and they had to propose a product or some sort of item for traveling or living on Mars. Then we invited Jim Keyes. Remember that name, Jim Keyes? Former CEO of 7-Eleven. Well, doggone it, he's now investing in space. So Jim comes back, and he is our judge. And Jim voted this team his favorite team. And so I would like to ask the team called Rocket Roast to come up, and they will introduce themselves and give you their pitch, okay?
Hi everyone, my name is Avery. I am a current junior at SMU in the Cox School of Business. I'm studying marketing and econ as a double major, and then I have a minor in English.
Hi y'all, my name is David Hudgens and I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I also go to SMU and I'm in the Cox School of Business. I study finance and sports management.
We're really excited to be here today. Professor Mack asked us last week after we won the pitch competition, and we're just really thrilled to be here. So I don't know if I'm going to continue with the presentation, but I'm not sure if the slides are. True. So today we're going to be presenting on our proposed product, which is called Rocket Roast. Our slogan is the brew of the future. So I'm going to let David take it away.
All right, y'all. So to start out, our product, Rocket Roast, is a coffee-induced brand, but it also is induced with vitamins because the reason why is we look at the problem story here. When you're up in space, and especially in Mars in the year 2055, which is where our product is going to come into play here, we realize that there's a lack of natural exposure and a lack of sunlight and just normal body flow that you see here on Earth. Your timing and rhythm gets thrown off, so you're basically up there with a caffeine addiction because you have to live on coffee just to stay awake and function, and we also have to we also realize they have to live on vitamin supplements. So we decided to combine the two, and this is where we came up with Rocket Roast. So here's a glimpse of our solution for our product, Rocket Roast. As you see here, this is the coffee with the nutrient base. These are all the 16 vitamins I talked about on the last slide are all induced into this one brand of coffee called a Rocket Roast. So they don't have to take vitamin supplements anymore, as well as they're able to take their coffee. So you're combining the best of both worlds and what they need to survive in Mars in 2055. And this is our product, Rocket Roast. So next I'm going to talk about a little bit about how just coffee works in space. So it's not like you can just drive through Starbucks, McDonald's, wherever you get your coffee. You can't really do that in space. So in Mars, you have to have a freeze-dried specific coffee bag that you put the coffee in with the ISS espresso machine. So the bags go in there. And then on the far right is the zero-gravity cup. And the best way to describe this, it's like you're drinking a Dairy Queen Blizzard. You can pour it out and no coffee will come out because there's no gravity in space. So this is the only way you can drink coffee. So.
Awesome. So like David said, introducing our product a little bit more, we are combining two essential things for space any astronaut, which is their caffeine. Obviously their circadian rhythm is thrown off. They're seeing, I think it's around 16 sunsets a day in Mars, which is insane. It throws off your sleep schedule. And then also having just like a vitamin, lack of a natural environment, obviously going to be fighting vitamin deficiencies as well. So because of this, we came up with our product, and I'm going to talk through a couple key elements of the business model. So we saw our business as a business-to-business model, so essentially creating like strategic supplier partnerships with companies like NASA and SpaceX that Professor Mack was talking about. We thought this was the best way to do it because we could supply the astronauts with enough of our product to have them survive up in space for 3 to 5 years. So essentially we would do this through contractual partnerships, and then we're also going to be demoing a website that we also created. So in terms of this, our early adopters for our product would be those space companies with astronauts who are going up to Mars or long-term journeys that are lasting like 3 to 5 years-ish. Some existing alternatives currently on the market are just your basic vitamin pills, caffeine pills, and then NASA-developed typical coffee. But there's truly nothing on the market that combines the two together and really helps astronauts with their health and long-term health, both when they're in space and also when they're adapting back to the natural environment after they spend time in Mars and come back down to Earth. Our estimated revenue after doing some math projections with the demand for our product and then also how far space entrepreneurship is really going to go in the future and how many astronauts are truly going to be up in space, we estimated a revenue of around $478 million because of our unique value proposition and the duration of journeys. We also saw our pricing to be around $150 per blend package. And in each package, which you saw a diagram of, there is around, I think, enough to last the astronaut a month of coffee, which is really nice as well. So because of that, our profit was around $133 for our gross margin. And then I'm also going to be walking through the website demo that we created. We had a live link that we were able to talk about in class and really tap through all of the different parts of our website. Because of the format of this presentation, I have some screenshots of our website, but that link is live, it was really exciting to make it and to see what it could potentially look like to actually have this company. So as you can see here, I know it's a bit of smaller screens, but there's the homepage where we have, welcome to Rocket Roast, what our product is about. We also have a little bit about like what we do and why we do it and how we do it. And then on our about page, I know small font here, but shows what we help with, which is bone loss, vitamin deficiencies, a need for caffeine, and then just helping with the physiological shock on return to Earth. And then if we were to go through a sample purchase transaction, you could click on the product and then eventually put it in your cart and check out. So I know that typically, as I was explaining a little bit earlier with our business model, it's more of like a strategic supplier relationship model, but for the sake of the demo, we did create it so that you could buy a ton of different products and check out with $300,000 in your cart. So not super realistic, but you get the point. And just to recap here, so Rocket Roast is here to make the multivitamin process easier and more efficient for astronauts. Our team would have experts in space technology and coffee brewing and ensure that our products are of the highest quality so that we are the leading provider of nutrient coffee solutions for the modern astronaut. So thank you so much, guys. We're really excited to be here.
Can you hand me the other mic there so if somebody has questions, they can.
Yeah.
So ask questions of them.
Okay, I have a question. So you were talking about all the investments, Simon, and people who can invest now. Yes. How, if I'm an investor, not that I am, but if I were an investor, how would I make money now? Yeah. What's that calculation or what's that projection?
So the easiest way to invest in space right now is through the ETFs. And so the easy way right now is the ETFs. And so that's why I showed that slide of the 7 different ETFs. But right now, so there's a very interesting phenomenon relative to startups. One of the reasons why America thrives when it comes to startups is we have exit opportunities, right? And most exit opportunities for startups is an acquisition. Although an IPO is highly desired, an acquisition is the normal path of an exit for a startup. But there's not really anybody who can buy up space startups right now. And so it's a very, very interesting dynamic for you to get in on the ground floor of some companies that can become the big companies that will buy everybody up. And so from a business and entrepreneurship perspective, it's a fascinating time that we're in. But if you just want to invest and be an investor, it would be through the ETFs that we talked about.
Okay, thank you. Who else has a question? Yeah, Jack, right here.
I will say, I'm going to ask them a question with a suggestion, but Dr. Mack, I'm a graduate also of your program under Jerry White.
Oh, yes.
I wish you had mentioned him. He founded the program.
Yes, yep.
So,
Jerry was here in 1970. That was him.
So I look forward to talking to you later.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion for both of you. Well done. I've done what you've done when I was with Jerry White. What about us Earthlings?
Yeah.
There's a lot of coffee lovers on Earth, and I am not a coffee drinker. you may want to consider selling to us now and build that practice, build that for the future.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that when we had, and remind me of his name, but the 7-Eleven CEO.
Jim
Jim
Keyes.
Keyes. When Jim Keyes asked us some questions after our presentation, he mentioned that and how that's like an emerging market, and it's something that he actually tried to work on during his time at 7-Eleven, which I thought was really interesting. And I actually looked a little bit into like vitamin coffee solutions just through research in this project. And there are definitely some out there, and I think it's a continuing growing environment or a growing product, and I think it would make a lot of sense for a lot of consumers today who are very like health-centric consumers. So for us, it was something that I was interested in and also saw a need for it in space as well, especially because of the vitamin deficiencies. But absolutely, you can invest in both if you wanted.
What are we going to need to do to meet the educational needs of this space opportunity? Do we have the STEAM programs today that are going to get us there?
Right. So that. Thanks. Oh, sorry. Educating the next generation. So right now, as far as I know, there is not an active education movement for K-12, for example, regarding space. I know there's the space camps that have been around for a while, but I don't know if that's even a standard part of a STEM curriculum at this point. So that's a great question. Unfortunately, I don't know. I mean, I think I certainly believe that's something that can enhance STEM education, but really just all of our young people, right, to think about the future and to think bigger and beyond themselves. I think that in general, I think that's a good thing to have.
I have a question. First of all, I think this is a great idea, but I wanted to know how y'all measure the clinical benefits and, astronauts that have come back that have lost, bone density, through vertebral fractures and things like that. So this is an OTC, and you can make these claims, but how do you measure the benefits?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know for in preparation of this project and doing research, we had found some research papers that talked about 16 essential vitamins that astronauts need. And I think that was based on a study that had done relatively recently. And again, I do think it's a very new, these are like new research is being done on it because, like Professor Mack said, space is kind of just, I think it's going to only continue to grow. But I think maybe like as a company, and again, not actually starting this, but in the theoretical sense, we could do like some trials, see like, what are their nutrients look like before and then after. But like the amounts that we had like on the diagram of like how much vitamin C and like how much vitamin D, that was based on some research that was done on what astronauts actually need to survive in space. So that was like daily dosages that they do need, and that they already take vitamin supplements for. In fact, NASA has requirements for them to take certain supplements. This is just a way to kind of streamline it with caffeine as well and have it a little bit easier because, even taking pills in space, like I'm sure they're like going around everywhere because of the gravity anyway. So just a way to like make things a little bit easier, but good question.
Who else? Yes. Okay, Herb.
Being in all your research that you've done, we're talking about the year 2050, a long time from now. Have you all done any research or kind of anticipated how the coffee making process would change in all that time?
Yeah, so this is kind of what I touched on a little bit earlier, and how like coffee in space is very different than coffee in like America. And so just basically knowing that, and there's not a ton of different ways to make coffee in outer space, so we wouldn't see, it is an ever-changing process, and 2055 is a long way away. However, we do not see, because of the challenges with gravity and because of the challenges of their system being thrown off, we view coffee as an essential for them. Same thing with vitamins, and so like this way may stick to be very similar in 2055, unless there is like a different change with like the whole space system. But that on our end, from a coffee perspective, we view it as a very similar process because of anti-gravity and stuff.
if I can just comment on there, one of the reasons why I made the assignment 2055, well, two reasons. One is 2055, that's 30 years after Elon Musk said we're going to be on Mars. So we're now traveling Mars. The other is a skill that an entrepreneur can develop is to do reverse engineering. So in other words, think about what you need in the year 2055, drinking coffee, and then reverse engineer, go backwards, and think about all the different things that need to be created in between. Those are all startup opportunities.
Last question. I'm interested in the student's perspective. Was this just kind of a fun class because Simon's a great teacher, or do you see a lot of employment opportunities in the immediate future as soon as you graduate?
Yeah, great question. So it was a great class. I'm sad that it's coming to an end. It was very project-based. So we have the opportunity to work in 3 different projects, solving like 3 separate problems. One of them, we started with developing a project about like surrounding an app, and then this one is around space entrepreneurship, and then our last one for our final is around international entrepreneurship. So put in different groups every time, and I feel like that environment is really great to learn like how to work with different people as a college student going into the working world. And I guess to segue into that, you asked about what we're doing post graduation. Is that the question? I'm currently a junior, so next summer I'll be working at KPMG in their advisory sector in Chicago. So I'm really excited about that. And do you want to talk about?
I am a senior, but I graduate next. I'm not graduating this spring. I have an extra semester because I transferred to SMU, and so. What I did last summer is I did an internship in the real estate finance world and did a commercial real estate, a lot of student housing and apartments here. Half of our assets were here, half of them were in Carolina because North Carolina has a lot of college towns, Chapel Hill, Durham, Raleigh, and so a lot of our assets were there. And so just seeing that into the workforce and hopefully transferring that as well into the upcoming summer. So.
Okay. There's a lot of interest, you can see. I think we need to do that podcast.
Thank you all for being here today. A book will be placed in y'all's honor at McShann Elementary for speaking today. Thank you very much. What a great program. I hope I'm around in 2055 to see this happen, right? I won't be up there, but there's nothing better than a good cup of coffee. So next week, happy Thanksgiving. There will be no meeting, right? Monday, they do have sign-ups left for Ronald McDonald House. At this time, Melinda is going to lead us in the 4-way test, and then the following meeting on December 1st will be at the Salvation Army.
Where is the gavel?
There. No. Hang on. That's all right. Hang on. Time out.
Sorry.
Wait till you're done, and don't be afraid to rip it.
I'm going to rip it then. Okay, it's my first time, of course. So if y'all will participate in the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it concern? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Okay, now I can, okay. Rip it.
Yeah, don't be afraid. Everybody's so afraid to hit it. Like, make the noise. Let them know it's over.
Okay.
Oh, just a quick update. Elaine Allen's surgery is on December the 8th, not December the 6th. December the 8th.
Probably in front of here, huh? Okay. Yes, please, Jeff. Oh, thank you. All right. Can you get the flag? Oh, yeah. Oh, all right. Oh, okay. There we go. All right.
I remember Jim Keys, and I interviewed him a couple times for Channel 8 when he was at Blockbuster.
Yes.
And that whole
Yes.
cycle.
Yeah, he talked a little bit about that. Exactly. Yeah.
So when you get ready for the podcast, let me know.
All right. Let's do it.
A lot of interest.
Space podcast. That'd be a lot of fun. Yeah. Oh, sure. 214-727-9875.
I'll go ahead and report you right now.
Yeah.
Send you all the pictures that I took, okay?
There you go. Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you so much. Yes, of course. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yeah. This is a very interesting group. Yes. Hello, Cindy. Did you want to talk to me or these fine young people?